Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Big Talk on Global Television. I remain your host, Deacon Michael. And delightedly, we'll be taking a look at the issues of Nigeria's distressed economy. What's the way forward for Nigeria? At a time like this, a critical time in the country, we'll be joined today by a very senior citizen of this country who will be bearing his thought and mind towards the conversation shortly after this break. Don't go away. Stay with us. I'm being joined today on Big Talk. Dr. Tommy is the first deputy president of TUC and the national president of the Senior Civil Servant of Nigeria. Of course, will be joining us for the conversation to take a look at the criticality of the Nigeria's economy and what's the way forward. Good to have you, Dr. join us on the show.
Thank you, Edeka.
Yes, you've played a quite good roles in agitating for the betterment of this country. And one of those has been your recent reactions towards the implementations of our RSA report. You've reacted to that, and it seems the federal government has further moved to implement that report. What has been your stand regarding that aspect before we delve into other issues?
Well, let me say that I want to thank you for making me your guest and to look at the issues surrounding the implementation of RSA's report, and why it is also very important that the report should also be reviewed. And I'm glad that the federal government have set in motion the implementation committee, but it is not yet a huru because the voice of the workers are not heard in that committee. And our position is that the inclusion of labor as a member of that committee is very important, because whatever want to happen to the report, the workers need to be heard. And again, we are also very concerned because the agencies to be merged or to be scrapped are products of the Act of Parliament. It therefore means that for successful implementation of that report, the Act establishing those agencies have to be repealed. And not only that, since the intention of government is to cut the cost of governance, I think the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria have also to be reviewed, because there are basic ingredients that you must tinker with if truly we need to cut the cost of governance. And maybe in the course of this program, I will dwell on that. So it's a good start. Let the report be reviewed and implemented, but let the voice of the workers be heard by inclusion of labor.
They have recently been blackmailing labor, and that it is politically motivated, and sometimes their concern are not really for the interests of the country. And recently, TUC had distanced himself from the last protest that the Labour Party took to the street, and it was as if this was political. You have been the first vice president of the TUC. What do you say that the union are being politicized, as being alleged by government?
I think that is emotional blackmail. Let me put the record straight. When people say distance from the last protest, well, you know, you can only distance yourself from things you were involved. But if you're not involved, you were not part of it, so why should you distance yourself?
NLC have been working with TUC for some time.
NLC have been working with TUC. We had a very robust relationship with Mwabalit administration. But I don't want to dwell on that because the president of NLC knows what happened. And we as TUC, we are focused, we are concerned, and we believe together we are stronger, and stronger we are together.
All right, let's take a look at the cost of governance. And as I read your press statement, you had actually made some suggestions to the government on that particular press statement. And government are merging agencies and different departments in the bid too. But Nigerians are reacting. We still have 109 senators. We still have over 360 House of Reps members. This is the longest ministerial appointment we've ever had since the creation of this country, and there have not been effort from the executive arms, I mean the government itself, that is not replicating what the intention they have for Nigerians. Is this a good policy? Is this a good move in the right direction?
You know, there's nothing you can do without going to the provisions of the constitutions. The constitution needs to be reviewed. Because if you look at today, we still have the upper and lower legislature. And in my press statement, I said it very categorically that Nigerians don't need it. If you want to cut cost of governance, it has to be holistic. We have to look at the executive. We have to look at the legislature. We have to look at the judiciary. And by this implication, it therefore means that there is need for either the constitution is reviewed to give room for unicameral legislation or part-time. And that will make it no interested for those who are struggling and warehousing money, you know, waiting the next round of election after 4 years. And again, the issue of appointment of people into ministerial position is also a thing to look at for, because, you know, the Constitution provides that there must be, or there shall be, one minister per state. And this government will have the largest. And we need to look at it. If you now have that, you now look at it, what are these ministers coming to do? If you want to cut the cost of governance, you need to look at it. Because in every ministry and extra-ministerial, you have the directors, you have the Director General in terms of parastatals. You have the permanent secretary. So if you now have the minister and you are having Minister of State, I don't understand what you intend to achieve. Is it to settle political interests or national interests? Which ones come first? So we believe that there should be that holistic concern. One minister is enough. And going by, if you want it, the constitution can be amended to give zone representation for ministerial offices. That by itself will reduce the cost of governance to the lowest, because each minister is coming with routine of aids, and not only aids are coming with the expectation of also ensuring that there's a budgetary provisions to gather for the needs. And don't also forget what come the paraphernalia of office of the minister. And don't also forget whether it is Minister of State or Minister, they all have equal right in, you know, in effect. So these are issues. So for us, we believe very much that if government is damn serious in cutting the cost of governance, they should look at that. And we have provided this as a way for it. Let the constitution be amended to take into cognizance of this. Once these provisions are taken into cognizance, the government will now have the wherewithal. Don't also forget that if Mr. President was successful implement national report, that is, there's every tendency that Mr. President will also look at 2019 constitutional reform conference report. And for you to successfully bring Nigeria out of the wood, you must have leadership that is ready to take bold decisions, but not undermining the strength of the workers.
Right, very frank conversations right there. Never have we ever been in this situation that we are in the country, even in the military regime. We've seen people invading warehouses. It has gotten to that point that hunger is on the high side. People are not protesting for rights. They are not protesting for food, that they are hungry. And you understand the implication that an hungry man is an angry man. What are your fears? And if government do not do anything?
Let me say this for the often time. Poverty does not understand religion, does not understand ethnicity, does not understand political party. It does not understand the color or the skin. It does not also understand whether you are rich, whether you are well rich, whether you are not rich. It does not understand. Because we have several types of poverty. There are poverty of the mind, poverty of the brain, poverty of the stomach. So in all the analysis of poverty, you could be well read, but you have deficiency in understanding how economic principles are applied. You could have food, but you don't have the health to enjoy. You could have the political strength, but you lack the idiosyncrasies of politics to even understand how things work, on how to get the position applied useful to humanity. So when you look at the aggregate of this, and you vis-a-vis the socio-economic challenges, you now see some people have money. They don't know how to apply the money. That is poverty. Some people have food. They don't have the health to eat it. That is poverty. Some people are even in a position that are not useful to humanity. That is also poverty. It therefore means that aggregate of these will set a nation backward. And let me say this, the cost of living as at today is not comparable to what happened in Sudan in 1980, that an increase in a price of bread lead to revolution. So I think our leaders must not only put up the thinking cap, they must analyze to see that the insecurity in the land is an albatross to the well-being of the nation. Because where farmers cannot go to farm, you can see how many students have adopted from a school in Kaduna. And that alone have also brought families to attack the government of the day. And this was what happened in the past regime, right from the Goodluck or Jonathan regime to Buhari regime, and even to this regime. And every regime comes with the agenda, we will tackle insecurity. The moment insecurity is tackled, there will be enough food. Because farmers will now have the confidence to go to the farm. Then, once you go to the farm, you have the produce that you can sell and also make money. The economy will boom. For a civil servant to be kidnapped, where will he have the power? He does not even have purchasing power to buy what the family can eat. Where will he have the money to pay ransom? I was just having a passive that even those who kidnap these children are asking for how many motorcycle, millions of naira and so on. Where will they get that from? So it is a serious concern that the present socio-economic challenges must put government on the toe to know that it is not about governance, but it's about leadership. If we don't get the leadership right, we are failed in governing people. Because one of the cardinal reasons for being in leadership is to secure life and property of the people. But where life and property are not secured, so what are you governing?
In a bid to regulate prices, Falana took the federal government to court, asking that there is no way they can actually allow individuals to have an open market of deciding how much they sell their goods. And some Nigerians have reacted to that you are not in any way purchasing for them. And
Falana is a human rights activist. He's entitled to his positions and opinion. But you can only fix the price of item that you own. When you don't produce, you are not the one that supply electricity. you are not the one that pay the worker, and these are told to produce, then you look at the marginal costs before you arrive at fixing price. So there's no way government can fix price for anything. What government is expected to do is to create the enabling environment for interplay of both goods and services.
But does it mean that there are some Nigerians taking advantage of the situations, because you may go to the market, a market woman who has indirectly nothing to do with dollar is saying dollar is high. So becoming dollar is not popular in the market.
You need to also know that in that context, the price of cars, petrol, the transportation. Because today, a fuel is sold for 680, 690, wherever you buy it. There are some places that are selling even for 700.
Yes.
And you finish, you put this car. In those days, if they buy even 10 liters, it can take them a distance. And you are bringing goods that maybe the total, in the totality of the goods you have to sell, what you make of it is about 3,000 naira a day, and transportation has eaten 1,500. So how much are you going to sell it? So that is what we are looking at, and that is why we are very concerned about the CNG buses. If after the removal of fuel subsidy, government have flooded the city with buses, whichever kind of cars, whether it's electric car, whether it's converted to energy car, and so on, whether it is solar car, you will see that the price of food item will crash. Because once the transportation is crashed, I was just telling somebody now, how much is airfare? How much is airfare? Talk less of how much is it. There's no way you can from here to the east without spending at least 70,000. Because if you now pay 50-something thousand, you eat, you also prepare for any inconveniences and so on. And it's more also expensive because you are buying whatever you see on the road. So now the air transportation system have cut the middle class. It's only the politician or top business that can fly. And the road is not also safe. Kidnapping, bad roads, and other things. And you struggle to bring your goods to the market. It's not about the dollars. It's about the reality. The great determinant of it is that even the parts of the vehicle are imported. And when you import anything now, you are importing with dollars or pounds. So are you now coming to say that? So the weakening leadership is what gives our concern. Let government handle transportation, you see a lot of things will crash. So that is the reason the high cost of food items in the market.
So some people have clamored that since government were not prepared for the subsidy removal, because it seems since the announcement of subsidy removal, it has been a trial and error by policies of government trying to arrest the situation, palliative given to state governors, and even the state governors have not took it back to their state. We have not seen the account of how much have been saved from the subsidy removal and all of this. And some people are saying that they should bring back subsidy. Are you sharing your thoughts?
Well, if we bring back subsidy, it's wrong. We must try from all the money that government have saved within the months of the removal of subsidy should be applied in a venture that we said. Don't forget, transportation is key. I'm a policy expert. I can tell you for free. If the policy failed to work, you return it to the theater. It's very simple. And dissect it. That is what they call drawing board, to look at it. But let me also say that policy have what we call gestation period. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. But in this case, I think what the managers of the economy need to do is to sit back and then say, okay, we are implementing this. Let's see. And then give the populace confidence that in 6 months or in 3 months, you are going to see X, Y, Z. Once that is established, the expectation will now be, in 6 months' time, we are expected to see this, so that reform can work. But where there is no communication, the Ministry of Information, the National Orientation Agency are not giving the masses blow by blow account of what the government is doing and how the expectation, when we are expecting to see the fruition. My dear brother, everybody start communicating in the social media. And you know it's counterproductive. So the Ministry of Information, the National Orientation Agency must up their game in managing the government, not leaving it to presidential spokesperson who is targeted speaker.
So have the government been to, the level of engagement between government and the people, has it been so far in this administration?
So far, so good. I have not seen any engagement with the people. Because if there's engagement with the people, you wouldn't have seen people breaking into warehouses. That's why I said communication is very important. Whether it is federal government, whether it is state government, whether it is local government, they need to communicate with the people. They need to reform the cooperative societies and interaction with the masses. Because failure to do that, you have opened the window for anybody to misfit the public of evil intention rather than the good intention of government, and that can spoil and snowball into crisis.
Just a few hours ago, IMF has said that the stop a capital growth, poverty and high food insecurity have escalated the ongoing cost of living crisis in Nigeria. So people are alleging that IMF recommendations are not helping to Nigerians.
Mike, I have never been a fan of IMF. If you cast your mind back to what happened in the 80s, when the then government of Babangida introduced what they call structural adjustment program, by virtue of the advice of International Monetary Fund, that was the burn of Nigerian problem. The beginning. How do you come to say we should devalue, that Nigerian money is overvalued, because we were at par with pounds, with dollars? Nigerian money was even stronger than dollars and pounds. But you ask us to devalue it. Every month, Nigerian currency become devalued, and they are not certified even till tomorrow. So there's no advice from the World Bank or International Monetary Fund that, because every policy must understand the culture of the people. It's just like when Emefiele came up with a cashless policy and put even a gate man in bondage. Because Nigeria has their own peculiarity, and Nigerian economy has their own peculiarity. We believe that if you see somebody who comes to greet you and he doesn't have transport, you can say, take transport and go. But in a situation where you ask a baker for account number, my dear brother, in not all World Bank policy that can work in the third world economy. Because the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund have found the market of Africa, because we are a consuming nation, very veritable for sales of their goods and services. So they put us in perpetual bondage. And unless we have a leader who understands the gimmick, who can go back to history and ask, how did we get here? That is the only time Nigeria can be taken out of the wood. Anything short of that, if we have a leader that will go, everything the World Bank said, everything the International Monetary Fund said, they said, we carry go. It therefore means that for a very long time we will live in bondage.
Quite very emotional speech. Let's take a look at that level of investors living in the country. It seems every day investors are backing out when we're supposed to have investors coming in. The other time, President was outside of the country in a bid to talk to investors, to tell them to come in, and that corruption is far from us, and all of these practices.
Let me tell you, what boldened economy? First, security, the strength of your currency, and then the workforce, the skilled workforce you have. I can tell you, Nigerians have the skill, but Nigerians lack the security. And again, power. If you don't have energy, the tendency is that investors will be running using diesel. And you know the cost of a liter of diesel. And when you add this to the marginal cost of production, you discover, why am I in business? When the cost of production is high, and again, the purchasing power of the worker is weak. You can call me an assembly car. How many civil servants will have money to buy a car? And that is why we are talking that the pay given to the worker is very low. The economy can only thrive when the purchasing power of the workers are strong. Because when you have a strong purchasing power, you can save. And when you save, the bank will now have money to lend to manufacturing. And there will be a positive spillover effect. There will be economic boom. But where you are just a money economic driven, you are looking at oil, looking at price of oil, looking at how to track oil, looking at, and their cost, those who are there in the high sea manipulating and stealing our crude are there. The people are coming to do business. There's already a fear factor. And what is the fear factor? They say Nigeria is not safe. But let me also tell you, Nigeria is not the only country that is known for crime and criminality. But the way our government is going about it, because of the high level of affluence, then the operating environment being harsh. I talk about the 3 E's of economic principle. I talk about the energy, which is the scale we put it. You know, I talk about the environment, that is the operating environment, and I talk about the economy. So if these 3 things don't work in pari passu, investors will not have any business coming, to do business here.
All right. Yesterday, the Senate gives the panel they set up weeks to probe the 30 trillion naira CBN loan. And so many reports has been coming in from Emefiele's led CBN. And even the current CBN has alleged the fact that some of the policies made by Emefiele is what has kept Nigeria where we are.
I don't want to dwell on that, because even the new one is not even sure. You know, Nigeria is known for blame game. But one fundamental thing is this: go and do your own bit, change the narrative. Because if you look at it, were they not the same system? They are the same system. Now the focus is that let the central bank focus on fiscal policy. And then we now see the interplay, rather than concentrating on what Emefiele did or not. No. It's like acquiring when you acquire a dilapidated car. You don't blame the owner. You need to fix it. When you fix it, you'll be on the road. You cannot say, I buy this car, I don't know how to move it. No. You inherited Nigeria with a deep knowledge. And when you get there, the handover note will tell you whether the note will make you fly or will keep you perpetually where you are. So if you don't have what it takes to fix it, stop blaming people. Do your own, and let's see. So I challenge the new CBN governor, prove yourself if you know. After all, Singapore moved from third economy to first economy. So what stopped you?
So can you perform a magic overnight? Is it an issue?
It's possible, sir. It's possible. It may not be overnight, but you put in a strategy. Those strategies will give us the expected result. Let me tell you, gold wouldn't have been gold until it passed through fire. So there's that element of endurance. But if you continue to blame the past administration, they didn't do this, they didn't do this, it therefore means that, why are you there? The question will be, why are you there? You took on leadership to change the narrative. And you are taking up and passing blame. To me, those are flimsy excuses. What Nigerians want to see, they want to see the economy fixed. They want to see things work. They want to see the price of items come down. Stop all this palliative of giving money to people. You cannot borrow money and then dash out and pay back. How are you going to go pay back? You borrow money for productive venture. That is how it works. Forget about the conditional cash transfer. You want to feed 15 million home with 15,000 or 20,000 or 25,000. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up because those are misplaced application of funds.
Do they even have data to track these disbursements?
That is another question. Because if Nigeria as of today does not have the population that you can sit down and scientifically say this is the total population of Nigeria, this is the total poor of the poor, you cannot. And what even stopped Nigeria from having social security number? If you can have PVN to make the bank comfortable, if you can have NIM, why don't you have a combination of that for you to have social security number so that we can know who benefit from all this and be able to track those who are doing the same, who are doing different types of work collecting money from government? Because the social security number will give evidence and proof, and we can track anything. So if Nigeria want to get out of the wool, it is not a rocket science. They know how to do it. But because of sentiment and political settlement, that is where we are. And it is an albatross.
Even some of the investors that were on ground, the federal government has brought out the issue of expatriate levy on them. And some persons have been threatening the fact, have been concerned that it's not going to help us, and even the Nigerians, the population that we have abroad. I think
Nigeria, I think the federal government, if I'm not mistaken, knows that that policy is an ill wing. I think they have suspended that. You know, you see, you cannot use everything to make money in a depressed economy. It could be counterproductive. Because all what you need to do, when you impose so many taxation, sometimes it may be double jeopardy.
But there's other developing countries are living on an issue of taxation.
Yeah, you know, taxation is not about, hear me. When, you know, let me tell you, for one vehicle, maybe you are on the road now, local government will bring their labor. NURT will bring their labor. Licensing will bring their, and so on. So you find about 6 taxation on one item. Or you run maybe a drinking outlet, local government will bring. Food and beverage will bring. Before you know,
it is what has even triggered the issue of Wuse fight. I mean, a few hours ago.
So you can see, it's like what has just happened in the market. You know, that Wuse market, the whole Wuse market is already on fire. That is to tell you that, and again, the mood of those traders are very high because they are suffering to bring produce to the market, and then those who are sitting in the names of whatsoever, not even union, because most of them, a legal union, most of them have developed illegal union. Because the union that is registered are well-structured organization, so they know their modus operandi, and the marketers and those in the market know how they operate. So those illegal people that police will use, or some of the miscreants or task forces will use, they are the cause of all this.
So the issue of taxation must be well managed.
They must be well managed, and it must be scientific. It must be scientific.
In Abia said they have started.
It must be scientific. Until you get that right, even government will be losing. Because if you just have a task force to just this task force, what are you collecting? Collecting where? You are collecting to your pocket. In the name of somebody is just carrying groundnut to see how he can earn a living. The tax force will pack and go and distribute to the family. I mean, they must be decent. If let me use FCT for instance, don't know what to do, they can cluster them. All the car washes you cluster. Anybody drive to that, you know that is going to watch a car. Fruits, you play the fruit market. All these things, let everybody go there, and then they will be well structured. Road trading, you won't see them. They will be well structured. What stop us clustering car wash, for instance? And every week, these people will come wash the car, you pay them. They have a means of living. And you can also ask them to form a cooperative where they save money at the end of the month. Most of them can make a good living. There are many ways to structure the economy and then get people out of unemployment.
As important as it may that concentration has been on the federal government, we've left the state, not giving the attention to the state. Because would you opine to the fact that it's only the federal government that can arrest the current situation that we are?
Let me say this. Sometimes I laugh when people say we left the state. You can only speak authoritatively on your area or specialty. A lot of people are in the federal. Most of them don't even know what is happening in their state. Like my state, Akwa Ibom State. I can tell you that Pastor Omoino is doing well. Because he has set some well-structured that can alleviate poverty. Take, for instance, recently he releases money, about 2.7 billion for the payment of gratuity and leave grant, and even money for retirees. That alone will boom the economy. And he also set up an agency which the State House of Assembly has already approved on post purchase so that they can have this food distributed. And let me tell you, when the issue of palliative came, he ensured that he followed it to the villages. He didn't leave it to local government. He ensured that those items were given to the village heads to distribute among family. That shaded it from being political palliative. These are things you do. Because a lot of people will sit down and criticize their government of the state. Most of them don't even have interest. Their focus is here. So some of the state government are doing their best to the best of our knowledge. But the fundamental issues are, some are also recalcitrant, I must say. But in today's reality, a lot of them are very sensitive because of the high level of awareness of the poverty in the land. So they don't want to play with. So now the state government have enough money because of the sharing they have gotten from the removal of fresh subsidy. So there's no governor that will have any excuse not to take his citizens out of the woods in terms of poverty.
You made mention of the fact that issues of minimum wage will also must be considered because it has a ripple effect on the economy, because purchasing powers of workers also has an effect on the economy. You've been a member of the committee to look into recommendations of the minimum wage, and recently there has been, some alleged recommendations of 500,000 or concern of 300,000. How much seems to be? What do you think are the workable amount that can actually, be for the Nigerian workers?
Well, we in the TUC we have come out with our own. And that is very clear where we stand, 447,000.
Is it achievable?
We've scientifically analyzed it. Why not? Why not? And when you look at our analysis, we've taken into consideration the rent, we take into consideration the high cost of food items, the tariff electricity. We've taken into consideration the cooking gas and everything, clothes and other things. We have also done comparative analysis. We've also taken all this into, and we if you look at the entire zone, TUC speak in one voice, and I believe that at the end, Labour will speak in one voice. Government need to do that. I'm also happy that Mr. President said that he's going to give a living wage. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of it because I'm a member of the committee. I'm not speaking for the committee, but I'm just talking the position of TUC. I was in the Southeast zone, and they presented. It was wonderful. The people talked about the frequency, that they need the review to be 2 years because of the inflationary rate. And I think they have done a collection of this. And when the main committee gets, fully back to work, they are also looking at it. And I believe that the committee will come out with a workable national minimum wage that will bring living wage to the people.
All right, as we begin to wrap up, some of the policies by the president sometimes have been perceived to be a very hard one on Nigerians. And most of the times, even on his broadcast, he has been telling Nigerians with side special that we'll get to the better days. And it's over 9 months of his administration, and Nigerians are still biting. But what are those concerns that you may give to Mr. President?
Yeah, I know that Rome was not built in a day. It took Singapore about 35 years to get out of the war. In as much as the policy is coming hard, I feel that government should walk the talk. If government said they are going to provide transportation system between these, let them keep it with their time frame. That will help. If government said we are going to build rail within so and so period, whoever is coming to be assigned or awarded the contract, if he cannot meet the term, they shouldn't award. They must be thoroughly, so that Nigeria will have confidence in the president. But let me also say this. If you have opportunity to buy a car without engine, it will also take you time to fix an engine for the car to drive. I think I want to analyze and stop at that, because that alone, no.
Many thanks, Dr. Tommy, the first Deputy President of Trade Union Congress of Nigeria and the National President of Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, for a very robust engagement this evening. We look forward to having you more in the State of the Nations as we begin to see the improvement both in the welfareism of the TUC members and the Nigerian people, because these are the concerns of Nigerians, and of course we've brought it to the burner to make a discussion. So we appreciate your robust engagement this evening. Of course, that's where we'll be taking it to wrap here on Big Talk on Global Televisions. We will be taking a look at the fact that tomorrow we'll bring you more update on what is in the state of the nations and critically what the government are doing to take Nigeria out of where we are. I remain your host, Sadiq and Michael. Thanks.